Welcome to the Real Healing Institute show with Michelle Sinclair, divine healer and spiritual teacher.
Michelle is the real deal, and I can't recommend her highly enough for anyone seeking true healing and transformation.
She is a naturally gifted healer.
Are you ready to heal your mind, body, and soul from the inside out?
I left this session feeling a real change, and I'm sure I'll be going back to her for additional work.
I was able to verbalize feelings I normally don't want to deal with.
This is a powerful space for those seeking true healing and enlightenment.
My anxiety and anger was almost out of control, but I met Michelle and she changed my life.
It is time to learn the profound understandings of universal love. The Real Healing Institute show starts now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I am so excited for you guys today to meet my beautiful friend Marlowe. She is just the most wonderful person. You guys are going to see why here right away. So, Marlowe, thank you so much for being here. We are going to get into it today. We're talking about grief. With Marlowe's experience, what she's been through in her life, she can just offer some beautiful, spiritual, divine insight, helping people that are going through grief at this point. So, Marlowe, thank you for being here. Do you want to just kind of give us a little bit about yourself, your background, what it is that you do?
Well, thank you for having me, firstly. It's such a pleasure. And I'm very excited to be here. So I'll start with my education. So aside from being a tremendously spiritual person, and I have been since I was a little girl, in a very unusual way that was not taught, I fell in love with neuroscience and I became a neuroscientist. And then I decided to take my work in research and move it into healing people directly. So I became a psychologist as well. So now I'm a neuropsychologist.
I love this. I absolutely love this. Okay, so your life, you have been through many things, so many of us, it seems like whatever our biggest struggles are, whatever it is that we have gone through is at the time the worst thing we've ever experienced. But what we gain from it is how we can help other people get through similar situations. It changes the way we think. And even reflecting back on these really difficult things that we have been through, we see, that there is purpose, whatever that purpose happened to be, but that there's purpose behind it. So do you want to tell us a bit about what you have gone through over the last couple of years?
Thanks for that, Michelle. It's very, very important to understand that not everybody, and I'm going to use my words carefully, not everybody is gifted the opportunity to experience the human existence in this time the way some people have. And we may feel and fall victim to grief, despair, and trauma. But what we have to understand is that it hasn't been gifted to people, many people, for a reason, and that's because they have other giftings. Okay, so I had the tools because I practiced with my patients, with my clients. And yes, trauma is all subjective, and it's all relative to your experiences and how you process the world. Okay, so one's trauma, one's grief is no bigger or smaller than another. Okay. So I at one point I thought the grief from certain things in childhood that I couldn't bear anything more. Then I wound up losing a twin to twin transfusion. That was terrible. Then my boys were diagnosed with autism, and I became a single mother of 3. And I thought that was a mountain to climb. That was my Goliath, and it was for that time where I was. And then, I think this is it. I was in a relationship with somebody, and last year he wound up killing himself in my home with a shotgun. And I just have to preface that because it's very messy. It's very shocking to experience that. And I found him, and the guilt that I had as a therapist, not being able to help him, was extremely difficult to get through. Now, because I did have the tools, I was able to navigate through the grieving process quickly and in a healthy manner. Not everybody can do that. So it's important to seek some support, because it's an ocean, right? It's an emotional ocean. And when you are faced with tragedy and with grief, it's like the waves take over you and you don't know how to swim, and it's pulling you under the current, and you too could perish. So what you have to do is figure out how to swim, because you know what? The waves are never going to dissipate. You will, from that moment on, your ocean will never be calm. You might have some calm moments, but it will get tumultuous. So it's about knowing how to swim, theoretically. So that's what I help people do now. I help people with grief and trauma and processing, and also working with men's mental health, because that's something that seems to be an area that has been avoided and just abandoned. So that's it. So now I get to do some more beautiful things, even more beautiful things than I was before. And that is a gift and a blessing. And I'm privileged. And I don't take that privilege lightly.
I am, of course, so sorry for your loss and everything that you went through. And so when this happened, you already had tools, to help because of who you are, your education, what you've been through. But what would you offer to someone if someone is listening into here today and something has happened recently, or that there's maybe even have some long held grief, that they're just having a really hard time navigating, not getting crushed by the waves every day? What is some advice that you could give, or some tools that you could offer to help people?
Well, first of all, the number one thing is to have a solid understanding of self, an understanding that the divine, that spirit, God, the universe has chosen you, albeit no thank you, right? Because in our natural, we say, no, no, thank you. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, no, I am done. No, thank you. But yet you've been chosen, and it is such a honor. You wrestle with that, and you wrestle with that, and you wrestle with it until you're more powerful than the grief. It just takes time, but you can't do it on your own. You have to do the work. You have to dig deep spiritually. You have to surround yourself with people who honor you and respect the journey that you're on. I can't stress upon that enough. That community is so important. So you need to find community. I am an introvert, Michelle. I have very, very, very few close friends. I have a lot of acquaintances, but I have very, very few close friends. So my whole life, I've always just managed, moments on my own. But boy, developing a close-knit family, a spiritual family, is so important, because then you're going to be there for them too, and they're going to be there for you. And they may not know exactly what you're going through, but they can identify, because nobody goes through life unscathed. Nobody, right? They may not know what I've gone through specifically, but they also have gone through grief. They also maybe have gone through traumatic moments. So you pull from your own experiences to help others and to guide others. Yeah.
So if people, let's say that somebody feels like they're really, 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 really on their own, I'm thinking of someone who is older and, maybe they didn't have quite a family and now they've lost their partner or something. Is there communities available to help people get, through this process? Like, can you build that community after the fact?
Right. That's a very good question. And you know what? With the wave of technology now, it is a gift if you're using it properly. There are so many resources online, so many great groups that you can type in your specific grief, your specific trauma, and you will find, it's like going through through the clothing rack, but you will find a group that resonates with you. You will. You just have to do the work. And a lot of people think that online isn't um, as valuable as in person, but that isn't the case at all. And I know that because I've been involved with you online with circles and meditation and readings, and it is, and also with my own clients and patients, and really the energy resonates. You just have to allow yourself the opportunity to seek, to find, and then develop the community. It's there. You just have to turn your computer on and look into your community too. Reach out to people that may know people. You'd be surprised.
So when you were having to deal with everything, because yours was an extreme situation, so much involved when someone else takes their life. It adds a whole nother layer to it. So how did you deal with that guilt? Like, I know me as the hypnotherapist, I know what I would be telling you, in a session, but how did you really unhook yourself from that? Because it doesn't help anybody. How did you do that?
Okay, that's a good question. So right away, I knew that he came to me broken. He came to me broken. And I also knew that the work he was doing, because we had been separated for 6 months, that the work he was doing, he was seeing a hypnotherapist, he was seeing a psychiatrist, he was seeing a psychologist. He also had another psychologist online. He was diving in with his sister into spirituality and guidance that way. She was a wonderful support to him. But at the end of the day, he was doing it for the wrong reasons. He was doing it for me. He wasn't doing it for himself. Number one. Number two, I remember immediately I felt spirit telling me, Marlowe, you may have been the catalyst, but you are not the cause. You may have been the catalyst, but you are not the cause. And that was something, a mindset and a heart set that I was then able to remove myself emotionally from that moment, but not spiritually. Spiritually, it was an entirely different thing. Emotionally, I was able to detach myself, but it threw me, it flung me into a level of understanding humanity in this time, understanding essence and understanding spirit, understanding the soul and the mind in a way that I had never understood before. And it was revelation upon revelation upon revelation. It was like a spiritual boot camp for me. And I allowed it. And it was scary, but liberating. And the things that I experienced in those first few months were defining, life shifting. Life shifting. I could go on, but I don't know if we've got a lot of time for that. But it may telling you right now is that mindset and heart set. You have to, I was able to remove myself emotionally so that I could then tap into what was really happening, because like the ego, right, is governing your emotional response to a trauma or to grieving, right? It's about me in the carnal self, the ego. But then you need to hush the ego. That's how I was able to, when I was able to detach myself emotionally. And then my intuition, my intuitive self rose above the ego. And oh my goodness, it was magical. Magical.
So what did you discover in that process? Really, the process of letting go. What did you discover? What came through?
Oh, so many things came through. The things that I knew were in theory, but I never had actually experienced. So I had experienced downloads. I had experienced I learned very quickly how to meditate and how to calm my central nervous system, and that took practice, but I had no choice. I had to do it for myself. And once I was in that state of calm, physically, emotionally, mentally, I had visitation from my grandmother, who I didn't really have a relationship with my mother. they showed me so many things that it was like cord cutting and revelation. It was understanding of my ancestry and the women that came before me who I didn't know of. That support was there. My guardians, like my team, I call them my team, were so present. I've got goosebumps. It was palatable. So I learned how to communicate with my team. I learned how to pray, how to meditate in a way that really was effective, as opposed to just going through a ritual that was, given to me or dictated. It was everything. There were so many synchronicities. And so I was able to become more aware all of a sudden of life in a very different way, from a very different lens. My lens on life is completely different than what it was before the trauma. So I am so thankful. Wish it could have been a different way, but here we are.
Yeah, it's, it's really hard. Sometimes people, hear these things, and when they're in the thick of it, in the meat of it, it's like, there, how could there ever be a benefit? How could there ever be anything good that comes from it? And it's like, we don't learn it until the day that it comes, and it's like, oh, that's why. And then, some of us can settle. And then it seems like this is the process. We continually get more of like, oh, that's why. But we can get these faster, and we can get these more efficiently when we can know the truth that everything's working for us. It is, even when it seems like it's absolutely not. And especially when it seems like it's absolutely not, that's usually exactly when it's going in and doing exactly what needs to happen to unlock this, to shift this. And now this is how we feel. Now this is how we live. Now it's like it's a new us that gets birthed from this process.
That's the word. That's the word I was just going to interject with. It's like a birth. It's like birthing anything. You go through the beautiful, well, I shouldn't say there was any, well, the relationship, there were moments of beauty, obviously. But the grieving and the trauma was the dilating and pushing out something beautiful, and it's painful and it's messy, but something beautiful will come from it. But the only way that will happen to you, because it's there, you just have to receive it, and you receive it by way of having faith, having the belief, the honest belief that you are special because of the trauma, whether it's childhood trauma or something recent, or even the loss of a job, the loss of a partner. It doesn't have to be as tragic as mine. And I know it sounds trite, but I've experienced it. And I know that when you release yourself, when you release the ego and that anger and the guilt and all the negative emotions,
yeah,
that's when there's a shift, right? Because we know our thoughts, our perceptions become our thoughts become our emotions. Then our emotions, right? Then that becomes our actions. And when our actions should be to release. So you have to be able to take control, learn how to take control, not in ego, but your intuition taking control, right? It takes practice, but it takes faith and understanding and a belief. And eventually you wind up respecting the process, and you wind up respecting the terrible things that have happened. And another thing that is really, really poignant is that in my journey is that I had the head knowledge, but not the heart knowledge. I had the head knowledge of spirit, and I knew that we're on the other side of the veil when we pass, when we move on. We're still there, and we're not. It's our souls that are so pure, and that person, whether it's a child who ended their life, or a partner, or a friend, and I'm actually going to be putting a post on my feed, and I might as well do it today, on what happens to a human being neurologically during that moment. And when they move on, when they pass over, spirit is very forgiving, and they become the person that they always wanted to be but couldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that my mother, I know that my father, I know my grandmother, I know that this individual, I know that they are, I'm able to contact them, I'm able to communicate with them. I know that they are the best versions of their spirit. They are their true essence, the way they were designed to be. And I know that I have felt it. I have experienced the most wildest communication. So I know. And I'm not, I mean, I'm a scientist. I'm practical. Science is evidence-based.
Mm-hmm.
So everything has to have evidence. So I know because I have evidence. I have it. And I'm, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
I
that.
I know I had this experience. I was with someone right when they were passing, and the peace that filled the room was like you could touch it. And to me, this person previous to that was not that. That's not who they were. And so it was like, oh, this is who you actually are. This is who you actually are when you really let go and when you release and you fully, embody that soul essence of who you are, which you have no choice but to do upon passing, because we have to let go of all of this junk that we've carried with us in our energy system that wasn't meant to stay in our life. So, I know a lot of people too, upon, someone's passing, they go to prayer. And, I always looked at prayer as almost like you're talking at, saying, I need this, help me in this way. Whereas you're talking about meditation, which is what I do, which is more the receiving aspect. It's more the listening. You have a conversation, well, we got to talk, but we also have to listen. And so what would you say to someone who, because obviously meditation's so valuable, and it is a way, it opens the channel for your loved ones to come through and for them to communicate with you. So what advice would you give to somebody? Because so many people say, well, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to
Oh, let me
meditate.
tell you right now. Let me tell you right now, as spiritual as I've always been my entire life, I am my mind, I'm incredibly attention deficit. And that's a gifting in its own right. But it's very difficult for me. And I always thought, like, I can't sit still, I can't turn my mind off. And again, it takes practice, but what always works for me is starting meditation, prayer, however you want to define it. I always start the same way, and it immediately pulls me into a place of peace and calm and center. And that is, and I always rolled my eyes on this too, gratitude, especially when times were hard financially, with the kids, raising these kids singly. Like it was, sometimes it is difficult to find the things that you're grateful for. But when you start a meditation, when you start prayer or start connection with source, you start with gratitude. So I have a little thing I say, and I'll say it to myself in the grocery store too, when I start to feel anxious about my time. I get home, or whatever, something, or I'm in rush hour, and I'm in a carnal ego state, and I catch myself and I say, Marlowe, you are guided, you are supported, you are protected. You are guided, you are supported, you are protected. And I think. And then I think of my children individually. I say, thank you for guiding, supporting, and protecting. Thank you for guiding, supporting. I do it over my home. I do it over my finances. I do it over my children. I do it over everything. And it puts you in a place of being very, very humble. And from then, the gates open, the spiritual gates open. And it's just, that's what works for me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have anything, or you feel you don't have anything to be grateful for, I want you to think of your five senses, right? Your smell, your sight, your hearing, your touch, your taste. And look around. Okay, it's sunny today. That's so beautiful. The way the sun is beaming on that tree. Isn't that beautiful? Or I see a squirrel or some squirrels running around. I think, oh, look at that. How cute. You find the smallest things,
Mhm.
the smallest things. And
Yeah.
that's where the portal opens
It makes
every
such a
time.
big difference. I remember I would sit there and like thinking like, oh, what do you love? And it was like, just think of things you like. And so I would sit there and just think like, oh, well, I love green grass. Oh, there's a butterfly on the grass. Oh, I love bunnies too. And if you just think about things you like just how enjoyable a day can be, and you let your mind go to those places, one thing will lead to the other. And yes, you can go on a whole rampage of gratitude really easily, and it does shift your vibration instantly from wherever you were.
It does. It
It's
does.
now in this
It,
vibration.
it does. And you know what, Michelle, even if you can't find anything or you think the activity is dumb or you're just finding it difficult, just grab a piece of paper, close your eyes, grab a pen, and just write, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And you don't have to be specific about what you're thankful for. Just say thank you. Thank you. The experience in this time and on this plane as a human being is such a privilege, but often it's difficult. It's
Hmm.
very difficult.
Hmm.
This is not an easy school.
That's right.
It's difficult. It's
Hmm.
difficult,
And
and
yeah, and it
yeah,
can be more difficult when we feel like we have to do it all on our own. I know that many people just feel like, oh, I don't need anybody else's help, and there's this feeling of like, knowing that probably they do and it probably could help, but really not wanting to reach out. And I just want to tell people there's billions of us for a reason, because we are supposed to help each other, and we really can help each other. And when you get into community with someone, there's things that they will see that you cannot see on your own. And,
that's good.
so
Mm-hmm.
beneficial to
Mm-hmm.
work with people. So I'm so
Yeah.
glad you're here. We are out of time, but tell us how people can get a hold of you if they would like to work with you. How can they find you?
Well, I'm sure that there will be links on the podcast, but you can find me on all social media. It's Marlowe Kaufmann, Positive Neurohealth, on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and link trees there too. So I'm always accessible, and I will always directly message you. It will not be a bot. It will not be AI. It will always be me contacting you directly.
Okay,
Yeah.
I love this. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here, Marlo. I want to let you guys know one of the videos, I believe, in the Mental Cleanse series that I have on YouTube, which is that free hypnotherapy series, is called Connecting with Loved Ones Who Have Passed. So if someone has difficulty getting themselves into state, receiving messages, this basically guides you to that place and allows that person to come in and connect with you. And it can be extremely profound and very healing. So thank you so much for being here today, Marlo. And this is not the last we will be seeing of you, I'm sure. And take care, everyone. And we will see you guys in the next one.
Thank you for joining the Real Healing Institute show with me, Michelle Sinclair. Tune in every second and fourth Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com for more empowering ways to spread love and set yourself free. Together, we'll elevate the consciousness of the planet. Stay connected. Follow me on social media, subscribe to the podcast, and explore the Mental Cleanse series on YouTube. Ready to go deeper? Book a session with Michelle at therealhealinginstitute.com. Until next time, keep healing, keep growing, and remember, love is the only way.